Traders, how are you? Marcello, founder of the Day Trading Academy. Today we're doing the recap of what happened in the markets last week. Overall, a great week, quite volatile week as well with the situation in Iran. The overarching situation this week was United States killed the top general Soleimani, I believe I'm not pronouncing it correctly. That caused a retaliation from Iran, which attacked one of the bases where Iraq and United States troops were housed, but nobody was killed, no U.S. or Iraqi personnel. The U.S. government is reporting that they think that it was just a way for them to retaliate without actually escalating the situation. And then after that, Trump made a press conference, which basically de-escalated everything and said that they were de-escalating, which is great. So that caused a huge volatile situation. It escalated a lot, then it de-escalated. So that was the major thing that affected the markets overall this week. One of the things I did want to mention as well this week and make a correction is I made that the downpours in Indonesia left 53 people dead. I said last week 53 million people dead. So just wanted to make that correction here in the beginning so you guys can hear that. In U.S. market news, the U.S. indices for the week, the Dow went up 0.66%, the S&P 500 0.93%, and the NASDAQ went up 1.75%. The U.S. dollar rose again on Friday and is now on track for its biggest weekly gain in 2 months. In overseas market news, the DAX was the biggest winner in Europe at 2.09% positive. Istanbul, a more emerging market, went up 4.38%. Germany's kind of Europe proper. Turkey's, some say, may or may not be part of Europe. They're the land bridge between Asia, one of the land bridges between Asia and Europe. The negative markets were very, very minimal, all generally under 1%. In Latin America and Canada, the biggest winner was the Merval in Argentina at 5.53%. The Bovespa was the biggest loser at 1.91%. The African and Middle Eastern markets, Nigeria, the biggest winner, the biggest economy in all of Africa, went up 9.07%, and Egypt went down 1.24%. The Philippines is the one of the losers in Australia and Asia. The markets mostly were mixed, but the losers weren't that big. I always like to report the Philippines because we have some traders out there. Australia went up 2.73%, the biggest winner in that region of the world. In Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, there was a surge higher this week in Bitcoin. It went up to $8,031.93, 9.82% positive. And rest assured, it won't get to 50,000 this year either. Remember, I told you that. In financing and banking news, U.S. Commerce Department is reporting that the tariffs imposed under Trump cost the U.S. firms $46 billion since February 2018. The U.S. exports goods hit the retaliatory tariffs as well. So the exports in the U.S. actually fell sharply due to the retaliatory tariffs that other tongue twister put on the U.S. after the tariffs that put Trump. U.S. monthly employment reports saw slightly fewer jobs created than expected as well. In commodities, huge rise and fall with the situation with Soleimani in Iran. U.S. crude went down, kind of recovering its rise from that situation. It went down 6.65% at $59.12. International Brent went down $5.38 at $65.10. Oil prices rose on Monday because of the escalations, as I mentioned, and also they rose above $70 for the first time in the 6 months. And U.S. oil futures went up 2%. They went over 64 a barrel, and then up 3% on Friday. That's, because of the rise and the fall, because of the escalation and then de-escalation with Iran. Gold surged to its highest level since 2013, past 1,600 level for the first time in the last 7 years on Wednesday morning after the retaliatory missile strikes from Iran. And for the week, precious metals, gold went up 0.63%, 1563. Silver went up 0.28% to 1817. Palladium also recorded fresh gains to a fresh record high of 2,033. One of the things I want to show you guys is how I'm trading right now. I've been talking a lot about the precious metals, right? A lot of you guys have asked me about that as well. This is a chart of one of the miners that I like. Full disclosure, we don't trade people's money. We're not trading advisors. This is for educational purposes only. So remember, you guys are responsible for your money, et cetera, et cetera. That disclaimer we have to give you guys. So I just opened a position right here at 209, which is literally right there, right? I opened another one here at 209 again, and I rode a little bit of this up. I didn't hold it all the way to 250, but what's going to happen here, you guys can see the range, right? So with the range, the market is literally, this miner specifically, because I'm trading a few of them, I wanted to show you guys because some of you guys are asking me how I trade nowadays. I do more swing trading now. But if it falls down here to about $2 or even lower to about 180, I'll double down, because the market is literally just working between these two areas. If it gets down to 170, which is the previous low, that should be the 52-week low, then I'll back up the truck, because obviously then it's super cheap. But you guys can see the range, the escalation with Iran. Now that it's over, literally you can see that huge, this is a daily chart, that huge bar drop. And that's literally how I'm trading the miners right now. A lot of volatility, great movement, but the markets overall are doing absolutely phenomenal. I let you guys know that the next 10 years are going to be quite challenging in terms of climatic situations, economic situations, and I really hope you guys are taking a foot forward to be able to learn how to be able to trade in the markets or be able to do well in situations. The Chinese do have a word or a saying that defines crisis, and that same words means opportunity. So remember that when things are bad, there's always a way to make money. In my opinion, trading is one of those best opportunities. So hope you guys are doing well in the markets, and don't forget about Speed Up, where you guys can obviously come and apply to use our money as well. We've had I forgot to tell you guys here in the beginning. I told the Spanish guys we had $11,782.50 in withdrawals this week alone at Speed Up. Julio Vivas, Victor Marin, Michael Medes dos Santos, which is in Portugal, Ana Karina in Miami. That's a fifth withdrawal. Germán Vaca and Jorge Ramirez as well. Congratulations to you guys. For me, it's amazing to be able to provide that for you guys, and I hope you guys are doing amazing in the markets. Political news, the UK Parliament returned on Tuesday. They approved Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Brexit deal with the EU. Now it's expected to pass, because of the Conservative majority in the government there. Lagarde, let me kind of tell you guys this right away. We finally have some good news in terms of Brexit. President of the ECB, European Central Bank, Lagarde, is suggesting that 11 months is not going to be enough time to make the trade deal, even though the UK is due to leave January 31st, literally 2-3 weeks away. And it finally ends the uncertainty, which is good news for investors. Now, the UK Prime Minister did lay out for some guidelines that he wanted for the Brexit free trade deal, or the trade deal, I should say. He essentially said that he wants a Canada-style trade accord where 98% of the goods are on free trade terms. In political news as well, French President Macron is having tens of thousands of demonstrators in the streets because he wants to reform the pension system there in France to try to make the competitive landscape in the labor market in France more competitive to the world and also more flexible. This is going to force him to abandon his plan for that reform, and this is the largest overhaul of the system since World War II and is central to the president's drive. Taiwan voted in the new president, Tsai Ing-wen, as the new president. She is firmly against China. Obviously, there's still that tension between Taiwan and China, where China is saying that Taiwan is a rogue territory that's part of China, and Taiwan is saying that they're an independent country. So, sensitive situation there. Economic news, the U.S. added 145,000 jobs in December. Unemployment rate stayed steady at 3.5%, the lowest level in nearly 50 years. And the labor force participation rate also stayed at 63.2%. For those of you guys that are looking for a job, I believe I reported last week, Taco Bell and some of its stores, depending on the part of the country, is offering $100,000 a year to become a manager of a store. So I would highly recommend you guys learn how to do that, because it's a great wage for some of you guys that are looking for a job, even though trading would be a better job. Aston Martin in corporate news that had the James Bond fame stuns investors on Tuesday, warning that the profit for 2019 is going to go down by 45%, even though they came out with a first SUV ever, pretty good looking as well. 160-year-old British firm dropped as much as 16% on the London markets, and the CEO, Andy Palmer, pledged that it's going to get back on track after a very disappointing year. Continuing its surge in 2020, Tesla rose as much as 4.7% on Tuesday, reaching an all-time high at $470 a share. It pushed its market cap to $85 billion, the highest ever recorded by a U.S. automaker. Just want to remind you guys, Tesla's not making any money yet. And T-Mobile is reporting its preliminary 1.9 million total net subscriber additions for quarter four, putting it at 7 million net additions for 2019. Marks 6 consecutive years of 5 million net adds or more overall. It landed 86 million customers at the end of 2019. And Mercedes-Benz takes the crown again for the world's best-selling luxury brand in 2019, topping rivals BMW and also Audi. It's the 4th consecutive year that they increased sales. They increased 1.3% for the most ever in its history in 2019, 2.34 million vehicles. Technology, the famous Consumer Electronics Show, CES in Las Vegas. A lot of companies displayed technology that's going to be able to come out in the future. The Uber and Hyundai Motors are partnering to develop electric air vehicles. There's a global race to be able to make those self-flying vehicles, helping with the traffic. Samsung is going to show what the world's first artificial human is like. Qualcomm is launching an alternate autonomous driving computer program. Toyota is building a prototype city of the future in Japan. And Amazon is working alongside Lamborghini and Rivian to allow its Alexa voice assistant inside its vehicle, so now they can spy on you while you're driving as well. IBM quantum computing service now tops 100 customers, 40 more than a year ago. Its clients are in industries including airlines, finance, energy, and electronics. By 2023, 1/5 of all U.S. corporations, organizations, including businesses and governments, are expected to have a budget for quantum computing. And also, Israel reveals what's going to be described as an aerial laser sword that's going to be able to take out multiple types of airborne threats, including drone, rockets, and anti-tank missiles. Results of a decade-long program, because obviously they have a situation where a lot of their neighbors love to send those missiles into Israel. And whether you agree with it or not, because I don't want you guys to get political, remember, on this program, I'm never going to get political. I'm just reporting you guys the facts. So it doesn't matter if you love Israel, love Trump, hate Trump, love Obama, hate Obama. I just like to do these videos so you guys can learn, understand how the dots connect, so to speak, and also be able to understand what happened in the markets overall that happened the previous week. USA, China, and Russia are all working on their own laser systems as well. In investment news, Smile Direct Club was one of the worst performing IPOs of the year. They started at $23 a share in September, went down to $10, even though they had a 22% rally on Monday after they announced they had an exclusive deal with Walmart. Samsung, the world's largest maker of memory chips, rose 2% in Korea after it said that operating profit likely dipped 34% in the quarter four, which is better than expected. They have been losing earnings, been dropping since late 2019 due to the fact that the memory chip prices have been going down. So they're hoping for a recovery of the industry downturn. Virgin Galactic CEO George Whitesides is saying that they now have 2 spaceships to be able to take people into space that are now structurally complete. Third are making good progress. It's going to design to be able to take thousands of people up into space as a tourism situation. Musk, for example, wants to be able to take people to Mars. And they anticipate to start operations this year for those of you guys that have a few $100,000 lying around in your bank account to buy that service. In international events, the Prime Minister of Iraq is asking U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo to devise a mechanism for the withdrawal of the troops following a vote by the Iraq's parliament to expel the 5,000 U.S. troops from the country after the U.S. drone strike on Soleimani last week. 3 Americans were also killed in Sunday's terror attack in Kenya. My heart goes out to those families. The hundreds of thousands of Iranians also took to the streets for the funeral of Soleimani. And also, if you guys didn't hear the news as well, Iran admitted, after denying it vehemently, that they accidentally took down a commercial jetliner from Ukraine Airlines. There was 176 people that died in the airline, and there's people that are protesting for the Prime Minister, the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah to step down because of the lies that he made in regards to that. Other than that, magnitude 6.4 earthquake in Puerto Rico hit again, causing a blackout on the entire island. It's still recovering from Hurricane Maria 2 years ago. The territory's federal board in 2019 struck a deal to restructure the $35 billion in debt with creditors, and they authorized $260 million in emergency reserve funds for expenses due to the latest disaster. Australian government urged 250,000 people to evacuate their homes on Friday and prepared military backup due to the wildfires that burned out of control. Even as rain poured down, over 10.3 million hectares of land has been burnt, roughly the size of South Korea. It's about 25.5 million acres. And an unusual fact this week, Finland's new Prime Minister, Sanna Marin, supposedly is going to put the entire country on a 4-day work week consisting of 6-hour days. Sweden attempted a 6-hour work week a couple of years ago. France moved down the standard work week from 39 hours to 35 already in 2000. And the corporate world is also fancying the idea, as the British say. In November 2019, Microsoft actually tried a pilot to do a 4-hour work week in Japan, and it boosted productivity by 40%. Iran admitted to taking down the Boeing 737 jet I just mentioned to you guys a moment ago. Former Nissan CEO Carlos Ghosn, internationally well-known escape from Japan to Lebanon, puts a headlight on his wealth and influence. There's quite a bit of scrutiny on that now as well. But due to the fact that he's in Beirut as a fugitive and the country's terrible financial crisis, he can only get a few $100s a week from the bank, which is terribly ironic. Australia-based travel guide Lonely Planet chose Central Asia as the best travel region in 2020, as they're trying to create a unified visa system. Some of those countries require visas, others don't. But they are starting to open up quite a bit to the world. We're talking about Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all those countries, the stands there in Central Asia. And in a rather ironic move, Glacier National Park removed the warning signs that the ice masses from the glaciers were going to be gone by 2020, because the only problem is it is now 2020 and the glaciers still remain in the park, which I find extremely, extremely hilarious. Montana park signs were added over a decade ago to reflect climate change forecasts at the time from the U.S. Geological Survey. That's the news for this week, guys. Congratulations again to all the traders at SpeedUp, because obviously, they're leaving a little bit of money for us. And you guys have a great week.